I really don't want to talk about this film. I really don't want to talk about this god-awful, horrendous train wreck of a film. It is, without question, one of the worst films of 2016. Might not be as bad as Polar Shit, but it is still an atrocity. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I'm back to share my thoughts on another film that I didn't get a chance to review when it first came out, and rightfully so, because it's just a waste of time to even talk or even mention this film by name. I can't even believe it even exists. Because who really asked for it? Who asked for this film besides the studio so that they can milk off this franchise, even though it's not really a franchise? They basically buried this franchise into the ground and tarnished the good name of their first film. Because at the time that this film was released, Snow White and the Huntsman was the only other fantasy fairy tale film to actually be a box office success outside of Disney. Disney was dominating and no one else could catch up to them, and then Snow White and the Huntsman came out and they actually did pretty well. And I actually defended the movie. I liked the movie, even though a lot of people hated it because Kristen Stewart was Snow White and she's supposed to be the fairest of them all. We could think of like 10 different girls that could fit that description besides Kristen Stewart. And I agree, there were so many other girls. Mila Kunis, easily could have been Snow White. Easily, and she has the looks for it. But they chose Kristen Stewart because Twilight was popular, I guess, and so they just want to milk off of that. Yeah, that's basically it. That's basically the only reason. And you all know what film I'm discussing today. Huntsman. What an absolute abomination. I was sitting in the theater when I first saw this film, and I was in total awe at how little they cared about this. This is, without question, the pure definition of a forced sequel that nobody asked for and nobody wanted to work on. Every single person in this film felt like they were phoning in their performance, doing it for a paycheck. They're like, why the fuck are we even here? Might as well, you know, we're getting paid to do it anyway, but I'm not gonna put that much effort into it. I mean, if there's something I can defend about the first film, there's some creativity to it, and it actually felt like the people behind the film actually cared to tell an interesting story and to give us some fascinating visuals. And the visual effects in the first film were excellent. It really stood out. It popped out. In this film, the visual effects, while being, you know, not that bad, it's not like shitty, but it just, there's no flair to it. Nothing pops out. It all feels very restrained and limited. Hell, most of the film takes place in the north, where it's just snowy all the time and cold and bleak and nothing really stands out that much. It's fucking bullshit. Oh man, like the only redeeming quality of this film, and I really mean this, the only redeeming quality is Chris Hemsworth's performance as the Huntsman. He might not have given the best performance of his life, but he gave it his all. He knew, like, oh shit, I'm in this shitty Huntsman movie. I gotta do it because I signed a contract. Okay, I might as well make the best of a terrible situation. I'm just gonna have fun with this role. I'm just gonna do whatever I want. Who gives a fuck? So he decides to just throw all these really quirky lines and being really kind of silly and playful, which actually gave his character more personality than any other character in the film. He actually felt like a real character. Everyone else is stoic and angry, trying so hard to make you laugh, and it doesn't even work. Like the dwarves in this film, what the fuck are they even in this film for? They're so pointless. I mean, they're in there because they want to go on this journey with the Huntsman because they could get gold for some reason, and then they meet these two other women dwarves, and they're only there for the punchline of women dwarves aren't that cute, they're ugly, and these girls actually turn out to be rather cute, except for one of them. One of them isn't that cute. But they're only in there to tack on this, like, these love interests for the dwarves, which is so bullshit. Who needs it? This movie is terrible enough. We don't need to tack on some bullshit love story too. Speaking of love stories, like, Chris Hemsworth, or not Chris Hemsworth, the Huntsman actually has a wife in this film. Yeah, a woman that he met before Snow White that he assumed was dead, so he decided to pork Snow White, and then she shows up out of nowhere and is like, hey, it's me, remember me? I was your wife. We lived together as child slaves. Oof. Oh, don't even get me started. I'll get to that soon, but these two had no chemistry. None whatsoever. I never felt they bonded. I never felt a connection. Freaking Jessica Chastain was shoehorning in her performance. It really felt like she didn't want to be there, and it was so damn noticeable. And I remember I was watching Real School's review for this film, and apparently Jessica Chastain was like contracted to be in this film after being in Crimson Peak. She had to do this film if she wanted to do Crimson Peak, which I kind of feel bad for her because it's not a role that she fought for. It wasn't a role that she wanted. It was just a role that she had to do because she was she had to do it out of obligation. And that's not really how you want to do roles. You want to do roles that you're actually passionate about, that you really want to try, something that challenges you as an actor or actress. I burped there. Weird. Sorry about that. And what else is there to talk about? I mean, the story is just not compelling. It's very convoluted. It's jumbled as shit. The direction is terrible. I mean, let's go back into the story a little bit. So the whole story... No, I'm not even going to get into that. The biggest problem that I have with this film is actually its marketing and advertisement. It's pure bullshit. They advertise this film as being the story before Snow White, yet only the first 20 minutes is truly the story before Snow White, building up the story of the evil queen, and she had a sister that was like pretty, I forget what her name, I think it was like Freya was her name, and she's like falling in love with like a commoner. The evil queen actually kills her husband, who might have been George Clooney, don't really know, and she has a sister named Freya, and she's in love with a commoner, and they actually have a child together, and then of course, the evil queen kills the child, but frames the husband as the person who killed the child, and this awakens Freya's magic within her, and it turns out to be ice magic. No explanation for that whatsoever. There's no real reason as to why Freya has frozen powers, and I think you know why she has frozen powers, because a certain film came out about 3 years ago that was really popular, and now snow queens, ice queens are really the in thing nowadays. So they're like, hey, if Disney can milk that, let's milk it too. So hey, snow powers, but no real buildup. It's not like they said like she had a cold personality or she's like very freezing and distant with people, which can hint at the fact that she might have cold powers, you know, ice powers. Nope. No build-up, no real hints to her hidden powers. The only real hint you get is that freaking the evil queen gives this toss-away line like, there's magic in you, there's a power that lies within you, and I'm here to free it. And that's it. That's the only hint that she has hidden powers, but that's not even... No, I don't count that as a build-up to her hidden powers. But anyway, so after the death of her daughter, which, by the way, can I just say, it would have been kind of interesting if her daughter was Snow White. Wouldn't it make so much sense too? I mean, her skin's as white as snow, and so is Freya's skin. So wouldn't it be interesting if instead of killing the baby, the father runs away with the baby, and this is what awakens Freya's powers, because they were supposed to run away together, but he decides to run away with the baby instead, and this causes her to be distant because someone stole her child, and that's why she doesn't really like it. And it would even explain some of her behavior later on in the film, but no, they're like, no, just kill the baby off. We don't need her to be Snow White. Ah, come on. That's a cop-out anyway. It's a cliche to make all the characters connect in a way. Yeah, it's cliche, but it would have made the film much more interesting if actually Snow White had some relevance to the story, which she doesn't. Anyway, so she turns into the Snow Queen, she heads to the north and starts pillaging villages and kidnapping kids, taking them away from their families and killing their families, and then turning them into like child soldiers for her army so that she can have more lands and use them to take over other places. It's really hard to sympathize with the Snow Queen, especially for her behavior. Like they try to make her to be this sympathetic character that was wronged in the past, and her sister was so evil to her. How dare she do this? How dare she did this to me? But She does some really cruel, evil, malicious shit in this film that isn't justifiable. Just because your daughter died and your sister betrayed you and your husband betrayed, or your lover betrayed you, doesn't excuse the plenty of casualties you left in your wake, the families that you tore apart. Like, that doesn't excuse your actions whatsoever. And that whole scene where she's like dying and the Huntsman's holding her, she's like, I'm sorry that I did this to you. I did this because I loved you. I'm like, I don't buy it. That's bullshit. You are fucking bitch. And they should never have tried to redeem this character. If they were gonna try to redeem this character, they should have done it in a way that made some sense. Because, I'm sorry, there's no redemption for somebody that literally terrorizes a land that's not hers and kidnaps kids from their families. There's no justification for that, and I can't forgive such a cruel action. Another thing that was so tacked on is they throw in the evil queen, who supposedly died in the first film, but apparently, much like Harry Potter with the Horcruxes that keep Voldemort alive in this world, the mirror acts as a Horcrux for the evil queen. As long as the mirror's around, as long as the mirror's intact, the evil queen can stay alive. And I was like, that's just some bullshit, convoluted mumbo jumbo to keep Charlize Theron into the film. That's the only reason you guys threw that in there. Bullshit. You really didn't even need her to come back. The Snow Queen was enough of a villain anyway. Every time I think about this movie, it just angers me because it's so bad. It's terrible. It's not funny, it's not thrilling, it's not entertaining. The action scenes are kind of piss poor. You think that, oh, at least they're gonna have some fun action scenes like in the first film. Nope. Action scenes are just not thrilling. There's no weight to the action. The combat, the choreography is so off and unbelievable. Oh my god. There's this one scene. I laugh my ass off because it's the most ridiculous moment in the entire film. So there's a point where the Huntsman and some of the dwarves, they decide to sneak in to the Snow Queen's fortress. And the way he decides to sneak into the place is he scales a mountain, like he climbs it all the way to the top, and he's at the top of it and he's just like, okay, good thoughts, good thoughts. And then he jumps off the mountain and lands right on top of the roof of the fortress and goes, and even like the dwarves that are inside the hero, they're like, what the fuck is that sound? And so he's still tumbling. And then finally he goes boom and catches himself mere moments before falling off. And I'm like, sneaky espionage. Yeah, nobody saw that, nobody heard that. Your cover has not been blown whatsoever. I totally believe that. Stupid. Anyway, the climax is stupid as well. Like, I didn't give two shits about what was happening. I zoned out so many times in this film. I'm surprised I even remember this much to begin with. It's a forgettable film. An unnecessary film. A film that literally was made for the money. It was made for the money. And it makes no sense why it would be made for the money because it didn't even make that much money. Chris Hemsworth is not really a big box office draw anymore. Unless he's in a Marvel property, he's not. It's been proven. You know, I have nothing against him. He's a great guy. He's a solid actor. But I don't believe that the studio really thought Chris Hemsworth is a name to be banking on. It wouldn't make any sense. Say this about Kristen Stewart. She was actually reliable. Like, you can bank off of her. She was a household name, and she was a celebrity to where if you put her name in the movie, people, at least the teenage girls, will go and see it. Chris Hemsworth, not putting butts in the seats, man. I'm just saying that. Lord, I don't even know why I wasted my time talking about this movie. It's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit. Who cares about... Not even Snow White and the Huntsman, just the Huntsman. And for shame, guys, for shame to write out the Snow White Queen Snow White. They wrote her out of the film. There's one scene where you see her, but you only see her from behind. Kristen Stewart didn't even reprise her role, which is so surprising. Kristen Stewart, the worst actress in the first film, is the only actress to say, no, I don't want to be a part of this piece of shit. I'm sorry. I don't want nothing to do with this. That's kind of weird to me. It is really weird to me. Out of all the people to want to come back, I would think it would be Kristen Stewart, who needs the work. But no, she's like, no, staying far away. It's cancer, it's toxic. But yeah, those are my jumbled thoughts about Snow White. Or, goddamn, I keep calling it Snow White and the Huntsman. Because I'm just thinking of a better film than the one I'm actually talking about. The Huntsman, The Winter's War. Oh, I'll say this, one more thing about The Winter's War. There's this, like, black character that would have been such an interesting character had they developed him, because there's some complexity to this character, and you kind of feel like there's this whole, what's the word, Stockholm Syndrome with his character, because, you know, he gets kidnapped from his parents, and he's even afraid, and the Snow Queen kind of, like, imprints on him, and he becomes, like, her best warrior, and he's, like, very loyal to her and stuff, you know, Stockholm Syndrome to a certain degree. There comes a point in the movie where he turns against the Snow Queen and starts helping out Chris Hemsworth, which I thought was fucking awesome. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He would root for one of his kin, somebody that would relate to him. And his character gets not a lot of development. He barely gets any focus, and that was bullshit to me because I liked his character. He was pretty damn cool. Anyway, I'm done talking about this film. I want nothing more to do with this film. I'm done talking about it. So anyway, if I were to give it a grade, I give it a 0. It is complete bullshit. You know, besides Chris Hemsworth trying his best to make his performance at least enjoyable, there's nothing more this film offers. It's a useless and pointless sequel that nobody asked for. That's all that needs to be said. But, you know, maybe some of you like the film. I'm curious. Let me know if you liked it and stuff. And again, stay tuned. I probably will be doing another video like this for the nice guys, and also I still gotta do my extra thoughts on X-Men Apocalypse because there's things I want to talk about dealing with that film. And also I saw Independence Day Resurgence last night, so I have that review coming soon, so stay tuned for that and more reviews as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm done talking about this piece of shit, and I will see you guys soon. So if you'd like to see more videos on this channel, be a part of the Black Critic crew, hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm Tony Watt II, the Huntsman known as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.